saving your first $10,000 is not a math problem. If it were, almost everyone with a job would have it. A person earning $45,000 a year who saved just 8% of their take-home pay would hit $10,000 in roughly 27 months. The math is elementary. And yet, a Federal Reserve survey found that over 37% of American adults cannot cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing. Not 4,000, 400. So the obstacle between 0 and 10,000 is clearly not arithmetic. It is something else entirely. Something that lives underneath the spreadsheet, underneath the budget app, underneath every piece of advice that says just spend less than you earn. There is a step between having nothing saved and having $10,000 that nobody talks about. Not because it is secret, but because it is uncomfortable. And today, I'm going to name it. I'm Zik, and I have watched hundreds of people attempt the journey from $0 to $10,000. The ones who make it and the ones who stall share almost nothing in common when it comes to income, education, or discipline. What separates them is something far less obvious. It is the moment where they stop identifying as someone who does not have money and start behaving as someone who does. That sounds abstract right now. By the end of this, it will be the most concrete financial insight you have heard in a long time. The real obstacle, the identity tax. Here is what actually happens when someone at 0 tries to save. They set a goal, they feel motivated, they cut a few expenses, and the first month, they put away maybe $200. Then something happens. A friend's birthday dinner, a car issue, an emotional rough patch that ends in a delivery order and an impulse purchase that felt necessary at the time. The savings dip. And here is the critical moment. The person does not just lose the money. They lose the belief. They say to themselves, either out loud or in the silence of their own thoughts, I'm just not good with money. That sentence is the most expensive thing most people will ever say because it does not describe reality, it creates it. Psychologists call this identity congruent behavior. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you believe you are someone who cannot save money, every attempt to save will feel like you are pretending, like you are wearing someone else's coat. And the first time life shakes you, you will take the coat off and return to what feels familiar. This is the step nobody talks about. Before you can save $10,000, you have to stop paying what I call the identity tax. The identity tax is every dollar you spend to remain consistent with your current self-image as someone who is bad with money, broke, or not the type to have savings. Let me show you what the identity tax looks like in real numbers. You tell yourself you cannot save, so you do not research your company's retirement match. That missed match on a $50,000 salary at 3% is $1,500 a year your employer would have given you for free. Over 10 years at 7% growth, that is over $20,000. Gone, not because you could not afford to contribute, but because someone who is bad with money does not do things like optimize retirement accounts. You tell yourself saving is pointless on your income, so you never switch from the checking account with a $12 monthly fee to the one with no fees. That is $144 a year. Small, but it is not about the $144. It is about the fact that someone who believes saving is pointless does not bother to make moves like that. The identity tax is not one purchase. It is a pattern of micro surrenders that compound into thousands of dollars a year in waste, missed opportunity, and self-fulfilling prophecy. Breaking the identity before breaking the bank. So, how do you actually change this? Not with affirmations, not with a vision board, not by pretending you are rich. You change it with evidence. Small, undeniable, mathematical evidence that contradicts the story you have been telling yourself. Here is the method, and it is almost stupidly simple. Save $1 today, tomorrow, save $2. The day after, save $3. Do this for 30 days. By day 30, you are saving $30. The total after 1 month is $465. That is not life-changing money, but that is not the point. The point is that on day 31, you have irrefutable proof that you saved money for 30 consecutive days. Your brain can no longer run the "I'm not good with money" script without contradicting observable reality. You have disrupted the identity. And once the identity cracks, even slightly, your behavior starts shifting in ways that no budget template could force. The two account split that makes 10,000 inevitable. Once you have cracked the identity, the next step is structural, not motivational, structural. Open a second bank account, not at the same bank, at a different institution entirely. One that takes 1 to 2 business days to transfer money back to your checking account. This is your accumulation account. Every payday, a fixed amount, whatever you can manage, moves into this account automatically. The psychological principle here is friction. Behavioral economists have shown that even small increases in the effort required to access money dramatically reduce the likelihood of impulsive withdrawals. When your savings sit in the same bank as your checking account, they are one thumb tap away. When they sit at a separate institution with a 2-day transfer delay, that thumb tap becomes a deliberate decision. And deliberate decisions are where people who build savings thrive. If this is helping you so far, take 2 seconds to hit the like button. It really helps the channel. The 3 phases of 0 to 10,000. Most people treat the journey to 10,000 as one long push. It is not. It has 3 distinct phases, and each phase requires a different psychological approach. Phase 1 is 0 to 1,000. This is the identity phase. Your only job here is to prove to yourself that you can accumulate money consistently. The amount does not matter. The consistency does. Save $20 a week if that is all you have. In just under a year, you will have $1,000. And that $1,000 is the most important money you will ever save. Not because of what it buys, but because of who it makes you. Someone who has $1,000 saved behaves differently at the negotiating table, at the checkout line, and in a crisis. You have purchased an upgrade to your own nervous system. Phase 2 is 1,000 to 5,000. This is the momentum phase. Your identity has shifted. Now it is time to optimize. This is when you audit subscriptions. This is when you negotiate one bill, your phone, your insurance, your internet. Not all of them, just one. Saving $50 a month on a single renegotiated bill adds $600 a year to your accumulation account. Combined with your existing savings rate, the pace quickens. You start to feel something unfamiliar. Not exactly. Something quieter. Agency. The sense that your financial position is moving because you are choosing to move it. Phase 3 is 5,000 to 10,000. This is the acceleration phase. Something remarkable happens psychologically around the $5,000 mark. You start to feel protective of the money, not in a fearful way, in a purposeful way. You stop seeing savings as deprivation and start seeing spending as a potential threat to something you have built. This is the exact emotional inversion that wealthy people operate from, and it starts at 5,000 for most people, not 500,000. In this phase, you can begin introducing your first investment, even a small allocation to a broad index fund, not to generate significant returns at this level, but to begin building the habit of deploying money, not just holding it. The difference between a saver and an investor is not the amount. It is the act. And beginning that act at 5,000 sets the behavioral pattern for everything that follows. The math that makes it real. Let me give you the full picture. Suppose you start at 0 and save $75 a week. That is $300 a month. In 33 months, you hit 10,000. Under 3 years. If your income is $40,000 after taxes, that is roughly 9% of your take-home pay. That is not easy, but it is not the grueling deprivation story people imagine either, and here is where it gets powerful. If you maintain that rate after hitting 10,000 and begin investing the surplus at an average return of 8%, you will have roughly $52,000 in 10 years. $97,015, $160,020, all from $75 a week, and the decision to stop telling yourself you are not the kind of person who builds wealth, and if you are actually getting something out of this, consider subscribing. I make videos like this every week. Here is what I want you to do this week. First, check your exact savings balance right now, not your estimate. Open the app, look at the number. That number is your starting point, and starting points only have power when they are specific. Second, open a separate savings account at a different bank. Not tomorrow, today. Many online banks let you open one in under 10 minutes. This is not about finding the best interest rate. It is about creating friction between you and your impulse to spend what you are saving. Third, set up an automatic transfer for your next payday. Even if it is $25, the amount is not the point right now. The automation is. You are building a system that does not depend on your mood, your motivation, or your Monday morning energy levels. Fourth, try the 30-day ascending save. $1 on day 1, $2 on day 2. If you complete it, you will have $465 and, more importantly, 30 days of evidence that directly contradicts whatever story you have been telling yourself about your ability to save. Now, let me tell you what nobody says about the other side of 10,000. Once you get there, you will not feel the way you expect. You will not feel rich. You will not feel arrived. What you will feel is something more important. You will feel like this is who you are now. That feeling, that quiet integration of a new identity, is worth more than the $10,000 sitting in your account. Because $10,000 can be spent, the identity cannot. It stays. And it builds. The step nobody talks about was never about the money. It was about becoming someone who keeps it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video.